You woke up this morning and within an hour, you ate breakfast. Then around noon, you ate lunch. And tonight, you'll eat dinner. 3 meals, like clockwork, like it's biological law. It's not. For roughly 300,000 years, that's how long Homo sapiens have existed, nobody ate 3 meals a day. No breakfast, no lunch break, no dinner reservation. Humans ate when they found food, if they found food. And here's what's wild. They were healthier for it. The 3-meal schedule you follow isn't biology. It's a system that was invented, partly by factories, partly by a priest who thought breakfast was a sin, and partly by a con man who wanted to sell you bacon. And the science behind what happens when you don't eat on a schedule. A man won a Nobel Prize for figuring that out. Let's set the stage. For the vast majority of human history, we were hunter-gatherers. Small bands of people, usually 20 to 50, moving across landscapes, foraging for tubers, berries, nuts, and occasionally hunting game. There were no refrigerators, no pantries, no Uber Eats. You ate when the environment allowed it. Some days, you'd find a bush loaded with fruit and gorge. Other days, you'd eat nothing until late afternoon when a hunt succeeded. The pattern was, eat opportunistically, sometimes once a day, sometimes twice, rarely on any fixed schedule. And this wasn't deprivation. This was normal. This was what every Homo sapiens body on Earth was calibrated for 300,000 years. If you want to see what this looks like in the modern world, look at the Hadza. The Hadza are an indigenous group in northern Tanzania, one of the last true hunter-gatherer societies left on Earth. About 300 to 400 of them still live the fully traditional way. No agriculture, no livestock, no grocery stores. They eat when they find food. Women dig tubers and gather baobab fruit. Men hunt dik-dik, warthog, and impala with bows. Everyone shares. Meat gets divided equally across the camp. There's no meal time, there's just food time. And here's the kicker. Scientists studied their gut bacteria and found that the Hadza possess the most diverse gut microbiome of any human population ever recorded. More gut diversity is associated with better immune function, lower inflammation, and reduced risk of metabolic disease. They're not following a diet plan. They're not intermittent fasting on purpose. They're just eating, the way humans ate for 300,000 years. But if this was working, if humans were healthy, adapted, and thriving without structured meals, then what changed? And who changed it? We'll get there. But first, you need to understand what happened to our bodies when we abandoned this system. About 10,000 years ago, humans made the biggest lifestyle change in our species' history. We invented agriculture. We stopped moving. We settled down. We planted wheat, rice, barley, and we started eating the same thing every single day. And conventional wisdom tells you this was progress, the dawn of civilization. Here's what it actually did to our bodies. A study analyzing 167 skeletal remains from across Europe, spanning 38,000 years of human history, found that after the switch to farming, average human height dropped by 1.1 to 1.5 inches. We literally shrank, but it wasn't just height. Teeth got worse. Researchers found spikes in enamel hyperplasia, a marker of childhood malnutrition and stress. Signs of anemia increased. Infectious disease exploded because now, for the first time, thousands of people lived packed together alongside livestock, sharing water, sharing parasites, sharing pathogens. The hunter-gatherer diet was diverse. Dozens of plant species, different meats, seasonal rotation. The farmer's diet was monotonous. 1 or 2 grain crops day after day, generation after generation. We traded nutritional diversity for caloric stability. And our bodies paid the price. Now here's where the story takes a turn nobody expects. Even after agriculture, humans still didn't eat 3 meals a day. In medieval Europe, the standard was 2 meals, a large midday dinner and a lighter evening supper. And breakfast? Breakfast was considered a sin. I'm not being dramatic. In the 13th century, the Catholic theologian Thomas Aquinas, one of the most influential thinkers in Western history, wrote in his Summa Theologica that eating too early in the day was a form of gluttony. He called it prae prepare. Eating before morning mass was a sign of weak moral character. The only people allowed to eat in the morning were the sick, the elderly, children, and manual labourers. Think about that. For centuries, the idea of sitting down to eat first thing in the morning was not a health recommendation, it was a moral failing. So how did we get from breakfast is a sin to breakfast is the most important meal of the day? 2 words: money and manipulation. The first push came from the factories. During the Industrial Revolution, starting in the late 1700s, millions of people moved from farms to cities. Workdays became long, rigid, and scheduled. You couldn't forage on a factory floor. You needed fuel at fixed times. So employers standardized meal breaks. Breakfast became the pre-shift fuel. Lunch, which didn't even exist as a formal meal until around 1850, became the mid-shift refuel. Dinner became the post-shift reward. 3 meals a day wasn't designed for your body. It was designed for the factory. But it gets worse. In the 1890s, a man named John Harvey Kellogg, a Seventh-day Adventist doctor running a sanitarium in Battle Creek, Michigan, invented cereal. And his motivation wasn't nutrition. He believed that bland, grain-based food would suppress sexual urges. His original cornflakes were literally an anti-masturbation food. His brother Will added sugar, turned it into a product, and the cereal industry was born. Then, in the 1920s, a man named Edward Bernays entered the picture. Bernays was a PR pioneer and Sigmund Freud's actual nephew. He was hired by the Beechnut Packing Company to sell more bacon. So what did he do? He sent a survey to 5,000 physicians asking if a heavy breakfast was healthier than a light one. Over 4,500 agreed. He published it in newspapers as medical consensus, with the specific recommendation of bacon and eggs. It wasn't science, it was sales. And in 1944, General Mills launched the slogan, "Eat a good breakfast, do a better job." That's the birth of breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Not a doctor, not a study. A cereal company's ad campaign. Today, roughly 70% of all bacon consumed in America is eaten at breakfast. Not because your body demands it at 7 a.m., because a PR man in the 1920s told your great-grandparents' doctor to tell them so. So now you know the history. 3 meals a day is a product of factories, religious shame, and corporate propaganda. But here's the part that makes this personal. Your body still runs on the old software. When you eat 3 meals a day, plus snacks, you keep your blood sugar elevated almost constantly. Your body stays in fed mode, burning glucose, storing fat, never shifting into maintenance. It's like running a car engine 24/7 and never changing the oil. But here's what happens when you stop eating for a stretch. After about 12 to 16 hours without food, your body flips what scientists call the metabolic switch. It exhausts its glucose stores and starts converting fat into ketone bodies. And these ketones aren't just backup fuel, they're signaling molecules. They activate pathways that repair damaged cells, reduce inflammation, and improve stress resistance. This process has a name: autophagy, literally self-eating. Your cells start recycling their own broken parts, clearing out damaged proteins and malfunctioning components. Think of it as your body's deep clean cycle. And this process is so important that in 2016, Japanese biologist Yoshinori Ohsumi won the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for mapping exactly how it works. When autophagy breaks down, it's linked to Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, cancer, and type 2 diabetes. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Every time you eat on schedule, you may be interrupting this repair cycle before it even starts. Remember the question from earlier. What changed and who changed it? Now you know. The answer isn't evolution, it's economics. Factories needed workers fueled on a schedule. Companies needed consumers buying specific products at specific times. And they dressed it up in the language of health and science until it felt like biological truth. But your body knows better. That hunger you feel at noon, It's not a biological emergency. Ghrelin, the hormone that makes you feel hungry, doesn't spike because you need food at that moment. It spikes because you've trained it to expect food at that moment. It's a Pavlovian response. Change your eating window, and within days, the spike moves with it. Your hunger is a habit, not a need. For 300,000 years, humans ate when food was available. They fasted when it wasn't. And their bodies had a built-in repair system, autophagy, that activated because of those gaps. Then, in a blink of evolutionary time, we restructured our entire relationship with food. Not because of science, because of industry, religion, and advertising. 3 meals a day isn't a law of nature. It's a product of the last 200 years. And your body, every cell in it, still remembers the older way. I'm not telling you to stop eating breakfast tomorrow. I'm telling you to ask why you eat it. Is it because your body needs it, or because a cereal company told your grandparents it was the most important meal of the day? The answer might change what you do tomorrow morning. If this made you rethink something you took for granted, consider subscribing. There's a lot more of human history that's been quietly rewritten, and I think you'd want to know